Can you make your kitchen look bigger and taller without changing its size? Well, get out the smoke and mirrors. Let me tell you my story. I'm Doug Walker, and this is Roominess. Roominess brings you straightforward steps to an inviting home. Hit the subscribe button for more bite-sized decor tips. You can find freebies, ebooks, and newsletters over on my website. At the end of this video, I'll have bonus tips about kitchen cabinets that don't require renovation. We've reached the big scary part of my condo renovation, the kitchen. I had no idea how to design a kitchen. My plan was, number one, to lean on the experts, and number two, to copy someone else. Here were the problems with the existing kitchen. Even though almost every surface in the kitchen was white, it still felt like a cave. If the developer was trying to maximize storage by enclosing the sink area, they didn't succeed in much. As you can see, those walls only really gained about 1.5 upper cabinets. The kitchen had a few broken shelves and drawers. The previous owners tried to update the cabinets with new knobs and pulls that made some of the drawers unusable. The countertop was tile, which is a challenge to keep clean. The traditional upper and lower cabinet installation pulled the visual focus to the low horizon band of the counter and backsplash, making the 7-foot-tall space feel even shorter. The strange series of multiple doors, tall storage, and the refrigerator entering the kitchen were kind of odd, and the pantry wasn't as deep as it could be when I looked at the walls around it. Something might be hiding behind it. Outside the kitchen, its walls chopped the space in a bizarre way. It left semi-useless shapes of room outside of it. Now, let's be honest. I'll still have a sink, a refrigerator, a range oven, and a microwave. Functionally, nothing will change much by remodeling the kitchen. It's just that you're spoiled. Aesthetically, it was scraping the bottom of the barrel. The kitchen, and with it the whole condo, could be much better. I didn't know a lot as I was starting. Was the angled wall part of the support for the loft above? What was in the mystery cavity behind the pantry? And could I really make a 7-foot-tall kitchen not feel cramped? And what would happen if I failed? What if the appliances didn't fit? What if the sink couldn't drain properly? What if the lighting didn't work? Would I have to hire a real kitchen designer to come and fix all of my mistakes? To begin, I went looking for inspiration. I Googled small kitchens, short kitchens, cool small kitchens, even kitchenettes and bars. I wanted to pull every trick I could to make the kitchen not only appear bigger, but to function well and to look beautiful. It was really inspiring to see the way that small kitchens could still incorporate architectural detail and interest. I gravitated to this image as inspiration for my space. In particular, I liked the mix of white cabinets with the strong bamboo wood grain. He's a snake oil salesman. The old white cabinets were white and he called them short. Why will the new white cabinets be any better? It's important to notice how the window wall, chunky woodwork, and range hood all draw the eye up from the counter to the ceiling. My before cabinets had nothing to draw the eye up. Everything squatted down to the counters. I worked with a cabinet supplier to create the layout. I wanted to make a full wall of storage around the refrigerator to maximize storage space there and open up counter space on the other side. A good plan, but I kept running into the constraint of the closet door. Finally, I thought to flip the kitchen design so that the entrance came from the other side. This actually solved a lot of problems. Bamboo cabinets would have been more expensive than my budget allowed, so I opted instead just to take the color cue from the bamboo and use honey maple cabinets with a very clean line. Demolition of the kitchen uncovered the secrets that we had to work with. For instance, the mystery wall behind the pantry did indeed conceal something. A duct. But this was a special duct because it connected to nothing. So we got to eliminate the duct, the wall, everything. We found that the angled wall did support the loft above, so we had to beef up the posts and supports at the perimeter to transfer the weight. My intention all along had been to put the new sink in the exact location where the existing sink was, because I wanted to reuse the drain and not move it. But when we demoed the sink, we found a surprise. I thought the drain would go straight down through the floor. Instead, it routed in the wall and wrapped around the whole kitchen to get back to the crawl space. So the new sink drain had to route around the other side of the kitchen to get back to the crawl space. Luckily, this wasn't nearly as big a problem as I feared it might be. If you feel like it, click the like button below to help other people find roominess. If you don't, it will remain in internet oblivion, where it belongs. I fretted a lot over light fixtures. I looked up several resources to find out how to lay them out. I wouldn't really recommend doing this yourself. The ceiling height in your space and the type of fixtures you choose will change the locations and the spacing. And, to be honest, I screwed it up. And I'm shocked that a novice kitchen designer screwed up. I hadn't looked at the position of the open shelving relative to the pendant light that I was putting over the counter. When the pendant light got installed, it was right in front of the open shelves. So I had to have the pendant light moved and the hole in the ceiling patched. The last piece to get installed was the refrigerator. It was an adventure getting it into the condo. When I came home to find it installed, it stuck out several inches from the cabinets. Now, the lucky parts are, it did fit into the spot, and even though the space between the fridge and the counter was not great, it wasn't worse than the former kitchen. I had not thought to look at cabinet depth refrigerators. Now, having heard more about them, I'm glad that I got the regular size. Cabinet depth refrigerators are very limited on space, so do consider that if you're remodeling. Nice way to justify your mistake after the fact. A couple of other details to point out. I wanted to incorporate some architectural interest in the space, so I designed the wall with the range, hood, and open shelves to be symmetrical. It sets off the hood with a subtle bump-out surround and contrasting stainless steel tiles in a zero grout line installation. I also opted not to wrap the counter in the back corner. I could have had a little more counter space and cabinet space, so why didn't I? First was actually functional. Corner cabinets are often tricky to use. I already had one that needed a special shelf to try to maximize it in a functional way. The drawers I used in the back corner needed room to open, so I left the floor space clear. The second reason was visual. From other parts of the condo, the kitchen has one corner you can't quite see into this way. It gives a little more interest and suggests a slightly bigger room. Also, the full height wall gave me a place to put another vertical element. I used these relief wall hangings in a vertical arrangement to emphasize the height. In the end, everything worked out well. The sink and drain, the lights, and the amount of storage. With the walls removed, I get plenty of sunlight in the kitchen. The new design draws the eye up from the counters to the ceiling on the range wall and creates floor-to-ceiling vertical lines on the refrigerator wall. Along the way, I learned how many decisions there are to make in good kitchen design. It takes a lot of energy and patience if you want to be in charge of the design yourself. Here's the kicker to the story. My dad rarely notices anything about houses. When he came to see the new kitchen, he asked, "How much did you raise the ceiling?" I figure if my dad, who doesn't notice anything, thought the ceilings looked taller, then I had really succeeded in making the space seem bigger. Here are bonus tips for kitchens that don't necessarily require a remodel. Open shelving is certainly a trend. Some say that the trend is over because the shelves end up unattractively stacked with all sorts of kitchen paraphernalia. In my case, I'm only storing coordinated dishes and display storage on my shelves. That's the key to making open shelves work for you, whether they are specially built or just upper cabinets with the doors taken off. I've also heard debates about two-toned cabinets in kitchens. Here's what I think. Lower cabinets, counters, backsplashes, upper cabinets, and soffits above can all create horizontal stripes of color in your kitchen. Depending on your kitchen's size and how it relates or doesn't relate to the rest of your house, you may want to take charge of that possible striping effect. It might make more sense for your backsplash, upper cabinets, and soffit to all be the same color, which might contrast with the lower cabinets. On the other hand, if your kitchen back wall is at the end of a long, narrow space, I might be inclined to avoid the striping effect altogether and take the whole wall toward a darker shade to help the room's visual proportions. Have a look at this next video. You should watch. It's short. I'll see you there.